all these problems will continue persisting. The economic development will be a problem to us. Our education. You know, I have a nephew who is in a university somewhere, and the way this funding model has affected them, I'm worried about how are these individuals surviving these universities. How are they eating? How are they getting their accommodation? He's telling me things are very, very difficult. And even when I was there, like 10 years ago, life already was difficult for us. But if you compare the life back then and today, the cost of living has gone up. But remember, whatever they are getting is still the same. Actually, the funding model has even thrown everything out of proportion. Things are difficult for them. Who causes all this? It's the executive arm of the government. You can see how it's affecting us. So unless we change the governance of this country, we shall be going back to ground zero all the time. We think we've made steps forward, and then we go back to where we were formerly. So we have to find ways of reforming the governance of this country. How are we going to do this? Civic education. Civic education is very, very important. We have better civic education and everyone gets to understand how governance affects this country, how governance is the one that affects the taxes that you are paying, affects the education, the economy. If we ensure as many people as possible know that, then we are going to end up voting in the right individuals to these positions. If we have good individuals in this position of the executive, then we are going to have all these problems, at least many of them solved. Yeah, I hope we do that. So we continue the civic education. Like now, these spaces that we are having, we are doing civic education. There are people moving around doing civic education, and I really congratulate them and wish them well that we continue in this track. We are changing this country. Please let us all be involved. Don't give up. This is our country. Don't have another country. Yeah, and I hope they're going to change it. Thank you. That was my submission for today.
Thank you so much, Bwana Luka Matoke, for that submission. I see Malia Davis, I think amefika kwa nyumba. Ladies and gentlemen, Home Run with Vivi is supported by you, the listener. If you like what I'm doing, of course, there's a tip jar line where you can drop your support. Malia, habari yako siku ya leo?
Nzuri, habari ya kushinda.
Njema kabisa, nashukuru.
Okay, thank you. So, for me, I'm not going to be an idealist. Where we are in this country, Matiangi is a step up from where we are. So there are other people who are being idealistic, and of which we should aspire to high ideals, but we also have to be realist. Where are we? Who do we have? Because these other people that we are talking about, they have not expressed any interest. You know? They have not expressed any interest in the presidency. The former CJ, Maraga, and Okio Mtata, who is an activist and now a senator, has not expressed any interest. So the person who has expressed thus far is Mr. Matiangi. So for me, he will have my vote if he comes to run. We have to look at many factors when we are thinking about an opponent for Ruto. We can get an opponent like Morara, who is very fresh, very green, you know, as much as people are also saying he's also a mole. But you see, becoming a president in Kenya and in most African countries is not, you can't just come from being a layman and then you become an activist, then the next thing you become a president. It doesn't work like that. You need to know how government works, and that's why you see for Ruto, it was an easy. Most presidents were not having it easy. Like Kibaki, he tried, I think, 4 times before he was successful. But he had a knowledge of how the government works, and that's why he was one of the, if not the best president that we had. So our problem, someone has said that the executive is the problem. That's not the problem. Let me tell you. The problem that we have in Kenya is we have become hyper-capitalist. So when I am an MP, when I become an MP, I'm not thinking of going to be an MP to serve my people. I'm thinking of how, because you need to ask yourself, these people who come and campaign with a lot of money, and then they are going for a position. You've seen all these positions which people are being nominated for and they are being vetted. They are being asked, why are you coming for a job for 1 million when your net worth is 5 billion? Why? You can generate more than that in your businesses. I remember Joho saying that his family doesn't even need to do business with government because they have too much business. They're even overwhelmed by the business they have. They don't need to do any business with the government at all. So why are the people so keen that you want to be a CS, you want to be nominated PS, you want to be given a seat here, you want to become an MP? It's not to serve the people. So let's not blame. There is somebody who said, even these people who go to that executive, they come from our society. So we need to look at ourselves as the problem first before we look at that Ruto is the problem. Ruto did not come from Pluto. He just came from Kenya. And whatever values he espouses, they are values which he has gained while growing up in Kenya. This is somebody who has been in Kenya all his life, more than any other president that we have had. So he has just espoused what he found on the ground. And that is what is happening. When you go to become an MP, you enter into the parliament, you join a parliamentary select committee. Once you are there, you've already started wheeler dealing. If somebody is supposed to be interrogated by you, you send emissaries to him to ask him to give you money so that you can disappear his file or vote favorably. So it is a wheeler deal. You whichever position you are in. And you see, this is now what has also happened to the judiciary. The other time we were seeing Sonko, who likes recording people, having recorded a judge, I think it was Chitembwa, when he was busy soliciting for bribes and explaining very well why who to give the bribe and all that. And that is the judiciary. You can't lie to yourself. At these people, all these people, including the Deputy Chief Justice Mwilu, she was in a scandal of being, they are caught every now and again. So the problem we have as Kenyans is that we have become lawless. We are lawless. So even you, Pipita, right now, if you get that position, when you get there, you can get there with some good ideas and some good intentions. Then you realize, number one, you're one of the poorest MPs who is there. Your colleagues, they have flats in Dubai. You, maybe you have not even bought a house. Like that guy was called Muirigi. He didn't even have a car. He didn't even have fare to come to Nairobi. And the first thing when he landed in Nairobi, was given a Prado by I think Uhuru or somebody. He was an independent candidate. So our problem is we need a tough person. I don't care what people are saying about benevolent dictator. We don't need a dictator. This country, for us to move, we need a dictator. Because, first of all, the type of cartels you have to deal with when you become a president in this country, if they don't assassinate you, I don't know. If you just toboa first of all and enter into that office, you need to be very careful, because if you are not going to be assassinated, as we have seen all these people who've tried to change the system, Akina Kaiseri, Akina Saitoti, all the people who tried to deviate, they came to an untimely demise, because it's like a shark tank, So if you come and try to stop my feeding frenzy, I'll just offset you out. So we cannot, a softy person like who is idealist, who believes, in the Constitution, who is a gentleman like Maraga, who is, soft spoken like okay. Those are not people who can be able to change this country. I can tell you for free. Here we need not even benevolent, even malevolent, if they such. We need a dictator, a bad one, because you are coming to the presidency. First of all, even that executive, the people who are working under you, they are looking for how they are going to eat. You saw the other day somebody who was an anchor, a news anchor in TV, and he went to Prime Minister's office, Mudavadi's office, and before even he has finished 2 years, he's already in cartels. They are trying to con some Europeans who want a deal of, I don't know for what. Huh? So Kenya, being a thief, has been glorified, corrupt, the so-called corruption. So this is the same problem we have in education sector, that the people who are in NEC, they want to sell the exam so that they can become rich. The teachers, they want to sell the exam so that they can become rich. The students, they want to get to steal the exam. They get marks which is not there so that they can go and do something prestigious like medicine, which will make them rich. That is the narrative across the board. If it is that CBC, teachers are looking at where can they make an extra buck from that CBC. So the teacher now is the one who is selling to them printing paper. The teacher now is the one, you become an entrepreneur wherever you are. And that is the problem that we are having. Everybody, there's nobody who is working for the growth of this country. Everyone is looking for any loophole for their own personal benefit. And we cannot grow as a society, because it gets to an extent whereby atakama we are stealing. Because when we started, like the time of Uhuru, I remember he said that 2 billion is being lost in a day in Kenya. But now you can see like NHIF to shift 1.9, before even the thing had started, it had already been looted from NHIF. Or I don't know whether it's from the collection which they have been taxing us. So now what we have is we have somebody who has studied how to eat from when he started when he left university and entered into Kanu, and now he has become the pharaoh of eating. And now everyone who is under him knows what's up. And what's up is we are here to eat. It's our turn to eat. He is not bothered with who ate before. He is not bothered with what you know is that, yeah, we need to have a semblance of the country is running, but the real agenda is how can we enrich ourselves, each and every one of us, in whichever position that you are in. The first day you enter in the office, like the governor, you ask for the accountant, can you bring for me 200 million? I first of all at least have some money for my campaign, from what I spent in the campaign. Then from there, it's strategizing on how are we going to eat. And such a kind of a system, it cannot be dealt with by just anybody. It needs somebody who knows the system, and it needs a very tough person. If you can remember how Matiangi and the late Magoha worked to remove examination cheating, it was not a joke. It was not a joke. It was very serious, very, very serious. And it was militant, if you can remember. So me, my vote is with Matiangi. I believe Matiangi can do something. He may not be perfect. He may have done a lot of wrong things, which maybe he was directed by his seniors, because after all, he was not the president. Maybe he was directed, do this and do the other one. Or even, sometimes you might be ahead of something, like some CSs. You are a CS, but the president is working with your PS. So at times, you're not even aware of what is happening. You come to find out later, like everybody else. So perfectionism and idealism, let's put it aside. Let's take the person who is there and who is available and who can be able to help us. Excuse me. Because from the way I saw Matiangi and how he used to work, I believe, of course, he's not an angel. He might also be corrupt and all those other things, which is normal in this country. We have all grown up in that kind of a situation. But I found him to somehow want this country to work, like make things work how they're supposed to work. If it's exams, not everybody has to get an A, because at that point, there are schools whereby the whole class is getting the whole stream, let's not talk of class, everyone who is sitting for the exam is getting an A. How? Not even A minus, A. Then when they go to med school, they cannot even last one semester. They have spoiled the chances for the people who are bright. They drop out at the end of the day. So Magoha and Matiangi were putting across that me myself, Matiangi, I did humanities, and you can see where I am. So it's not to say that if you get if you get an A and then you go and you are taken to medicine, is the only time you can make impact. Is the only time you can be successful in life. So me, that is a person, he has my vote 100%, unless somebody else who is quite militant, who can deal with the mess that we are in. Because this country, we need we need military type of person, to be very honest with you, on all levels. And let's not blame the executive, because we are, all of us, Kwanzia, the civil servant who is down, we are all looking for how can you imagine, let me tell you a real case. Messengers, you are given 10 packets of milk to cook tea. You cook 5, the other 5, you go to sell them at a subsidized rate to people. So if the milk is costing 40 bob, you are selling at 20 bob. That is the Kenya we are in. Let's not beat around the bush. So such a system, it needs somebody who is like, I don't know, Hitler or something. I don't know. Thank you. Back to you, PP.
PP.
Hii unlock button inanionyesha pambo kweli. Naona Western Shilaho ameinua mkono juu, and I also see Malia ameinua mkono juu. So I'm going to go with Malia, then go back to Western. As well, I can see a Joga in the building. Malia.
Malia has already talked, PP.
Sorry, not me.
Oh, sawa. Ajoga, talk to us.
I wanted to pick something on Malia and connect it with Western. These two great Kenyans have said something very important. Picking it up from Malia, this country, and with the person who is currently holding the highest organ of our country, hii nchi sahi haitaki mchezo. In fact, kumtoa will not be a walk in the park. This guy, I don't know if people know Ruto. Nyinyi mnamsikianga tu. Ruto will need someone who is militant, ruthless, a serious radical surgeon. A serious radical surgeon. Remember, the people who are surrounding Ruto are also serious cartels. They can get you anywhere and ensure you are down. But also know that the people, all these people again surrounding Ruto, now that election will be in form of as usual, it is through some ICT facilitated form, process, do you think Ruto doesn't have serious ICT experts? Yes. Do you think Ruto doesn't have, even as we talk now, we are just 3, but do you think he is not aware that he is going to lose? If election were to held today, he knows. So he's working on something. That take to the bank. We really need to know the kind of a person we are, and the kind that we have here. And it is key for us to know that currently nothing is literally working. That is the truth of the matter. I'm not fighting. I'm just fighting the personality in Ruto and his government. I'm not fighting him at all. But nothing is working in this government completely. And that is why, if you look at it very well, people who have done psychology are here. Why is a whole presidency plus the minister marketing, blogging, marketing the government projects, but they cannot be accountable for how the implementation is being done? Yesterday, I was speaking in a certain space that eventually went down because I was seen like someone who was attacking much. But one question I was asking one of the ladies there is, if SHA was actually, because every government procedure is when you are transitioning a project from one project the same scope and you are changing the the scope in any way, you have to do what we call a transition process, which does not go for less than 2 years. It has to be something that has to be communicated to the public early. The public have to be, that primary baseline piloting has to be done.
Either?
You're getting me, Pepita?
I'm getting you. Go ahead.
Yeah, but I don't know why Pepita is not getting me. Pepita, you have a problem with your system. So one thing I was saying is, this country, as Malia was saying, doesn't need a soft person, and Ruto has mastered this very well. This country doesn't need someone who is democratic, as a democratic aspect. It needs a serious Magufuli, a serious Trump, someone who will come with a positive axle and ensure that things are done. And one thing you have to know, it has to be ruthless. That, pick it from me. This country is not going to change by when people are talking here in space and then we are living here in the houses. No. People can't, the country has to come out in the street. People have to go in the street every single day. But when it reaches balloting, you have to get a ruthless dude to remove this guy and to remove all these political class plus their cartels. It is not going to be a joke. If we get in someone who will come in and say, and by the way, I say it, whether it is nonsense or not, it's fine. But Ruto is not someone you will literally move with a soft approach. No. Unless you get someone different from Matiangi, fine, we will support. Because yesterday someone was asking me, nini mnataka nini? Amtaki Matiangi, amtaki Ruto, amtaki Babu, amtaki Morara, amtaki Okia, mnataka nani? So we have also to be realistic and ask ourselves, what do we want so that we can take action immediately? Election is just 3 years ahead here. So what exactly do we want? Who do we want? So that we start looking at ways possible. But the person we want must be very good in areas of ICT, must really be radical in every aspect of taking control of all these systems and sending them home. We don't want Ruto next to power, and not even Ruto, a personality in Ruto. A personality in Ruto is not someone who will take this country. You cannot run a country with emotions, propaganda, greed, marketing entities that are shell, and still expect and even dictate and still expect that there will be delivery of service. It doesn't work like that. We need someone who, and this I'm supporting what Western was saying, we need a dictator, yes, but we need a dictator who has the country at heart. A Magufuli kind of. Someone who will come radically ensure that cartels are gone, ensure that things are working. Things are not working now. So we will really need someone of such a caliber to come on board and really pump a serious blood into the system and ensure things are working. But that person will not do this alone. We will have to go to the street. We will have to mobilize the church. We will have to mobilize every person, activist, and not just pretend about it. Revolution doesn't need people who pretend. Revolution needs people who speak their mind out and can be seen in the street. Revolution needs people who can be able, not just to speak Kizungu, because this guy doesn't know Kizungu. Ruto hakuna siku ataelewa Kizungu yangu. Yeye, wewe hiyo kijana ameongea hiyo maneno hapo kwa space, tafuta huyo kijana, weka chini. Hizo ndio lugha za Ruto. And if that is what has to happen, we literally need someone. If you have someone apart from Matiangi who can liberate or spearhead this country with our support, please bring that person on board. I'm very sure as we move along to 2027, tutakuwa na mchujo. All these people will be put on. The only thing now we need as a country is to be able to consolidate everyone of like mind together. Ensure we are pulling together. We need to approach this thing with a lot of humility amongst us, with a lot of understanding amongst us, without war amongst us, without fear amongst us, and push those things you hear like pipita sijia ameweka kwa payroll nini, hizo vitu are not good. We just need to bring everyone on board and push everyone forward. Support where you can. If you have some few coins, send to pipita, namba yake iko hapo juu, au usikuje hapa kusema urudishiwe. Let us learn as Kenyans to know what kind of war we are fighting. This is not a joke. And in fact, the person who is in power is really enjoying. Now, he has decided to employ even ministers to be bloggers. Everyone is blogging from the government and they really know how to counteract. There is a guy drawing very funny cartoons. They even ended up even drawing their own cartoons. So this is someone who is not for the interest of Kenya. This is someone who will counteract what we do in equal measure. And for us to ensure that even what it does, we react to in equal measure. We don't need someone who is weak. We don't need someone who is democratic. We don't need someone who is, we need a mind, that mind of Magoha. Go see with your eyes what is happening. We just need a radicalist. We need someone who can be able to do a serious surgery and push this country where it needs to. Even if it is 5 years na aende, tutakuwa tumejua this is the line. We need a Magufuli in Kenya. The time is here. It is a dawn for us. And we truly need someone. If you have an option from Matiangi, bring it on board. At the end of the day, if we can all pull our efforts together and ensure we bring all these people, the church, every denomination, every religious groups who are pushing for this agenda, we bring everyone on board. So when it reaches 2027 or so, we have one voice. But let us not forget, the tool is always ID and voters card. So even as we are discussing all these things, we also need to know, yes, we need Matiangi, we need Maraga, we need this and this, but at the end of the day, kutakuwa na mchujo ingine kali sana. Among all these people, we will simply have to get the right person at the end of the day, but the caliber of a person we need to get is someone who knows what Ruto is, someone who understands, someone who has served in this government, and really know, especially someone who has served and has monitored Ruto's movement. We need someone who understands. Otherwise, when you bring somebody from outside who doesn't even understand, Magufuli, before he became president, he served in several ministries. But when he became president, he ensured what needed to be done was done. So that is the kind of a person we